Hello, good evening and welcome to Men's Lounge live on ATV Ghana. I am Sifat Danko. Not the usual face that you see on Men's Lounge. I'm sitting in for my brother Nana Yao Odame, who is far away from the city. It's Men's Lounge, and tonight what we are going to talk about is not just about men. It's something that benefits society. And I believe that you still can stay and then learn one thing or two about the discussion that we're going to have tonight on Men's Lounge. Remember, we are still in Made in Ghana month on ETV Ghana, and there is a very, beautiful question that I'll be asking you when we return from the break. I will introduce to you my guests on the show for tonight, and also the first question that I'll be asking my guests when we return from the break. I'll tell you that. Welcome back to Men's Lounge live on ETV Ghana. I am Sefa Danko. I have two very important guests in the house tonight. We are talking about the importance of pharmacists in our society. And there are a lot of misconceptions that people have about pharmacists, because one of the things that I learned was that pharmacists, all they do is they count pills. I asked them that question, but gentlemen, let me welcome you. I have Mr. Kwabena Asante Ofoe, who is the Vice President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, and also Stephen Bona, who is the Greater Accra Regional Chair of Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. Gentlemen, welcome to Men's Lounge.
Thank you.
I believe your weekend was great.
Oh, yes. Of course, it was great.
How
because,
was it spent?
Well, for some of us, we are still in the mood of the World Pharmacist Day launch that happened at ELWAC on Wednesday.
Okay.
So there are other activities going on in all the other regions. And Greater Accra, because we helped the national for the launch, we are starting activities as actually from today.
Okay.
And then it's going to...
Today, 26th.
Yeah, today 26th. It's going to go on till the next month, because our president, Vice President of Ghana president, had decided that this time around is not just a day, but he's making it a month-long celebration. So there will be other activities for the Greater Accra region going forward. Yeah.
I believe that we'll come to some of the activities that you'll be embarking on. But let me go to Kwabena. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. Like he said, it was mainly for us, it was following all that was happening in all the other regions. And I think kudos to the various regions and our teams in the various regions. They've done a fantastic job. And apart from that, meeting a few people here and there and then relaxing. There was a party I actually attended over the weekend.
I believe you enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
And at the party, what food did you eat?
Oh, I took some salads and then some fruits.
Wow.
I need to be healthy.
At ETV Ghana, we dedicate September as Made in Ghana month.
Right.
And we are in the last lap of the activities. And this week, we're talking about, your favorite food. For me, let me start with myself. For me, banku all the way.
Yeah.
What about you, Kwabena?
Well, it's same for me, but then I don't want the freshly made one. I want the banku that has reheated after it has, left it overnight.
It has some...
Yeah, there's some extra taste to it. Yeah. So I do like my banku too. Yeah.
Stephen?
Mine, any day I'll go for apim.
Ampesi. Okay.
With kontomire.
Ayachi.
Yachi. Not the one that you fried. With my Kobe and pear around it. Yes, I'm sure my wife is listening.
Your wife is actually looking at you right now.
Okay,
it's already on the screen.
Exactly.
It's already on the screen. And let me ask this question. The interface between the food we eat and medicine. Do we derive anything from the food we eat? Because you're a pharmacist. I mean, do we get medicines? Do we get some drugs that help us treat some of the infections that we encounter from the food that we eat?
That's in the food that we eat.
Yeah, in the food that we eat.
The food that we eat, the food has different components. That's carbohydrate, it has proteins. They all play a role. But the aspect that I will dwell on is the vitamins that we derived from the food that we eat.
Okay.
It actually helps with our immune system, which helps to fight diseases that Sometimes it comes and it fights it without you knowing that it's there.
Okay.
So the food that you eat, healthy food, actually promotes health. So we expect that everybody will eat a healthy food, which will have all these ingredients that needs to be there for a better living, a long life. Yes.
So it's not just about the drugs that you're going to, you pharmacists who give to patients who come to the hospital, who come to health facilities, but also the food that you eat.
Yeah, we advise.
You advise them. Let's start a conversation on that because, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of Ghanaians do have misconceptions about pharmacists. They believe that one of the things that you do, your basic job, is to count pills. How true is this?
Well, I mean, let me start and then my senior, Mr. Bonao, will take over. I think, well, so I'll take the question as an introduction to the conversation. Yes, I've heard that also. Counting pills is a part of what we do.
Okay.
It's an important part because you have to be giving the right number of pills to take so that you don't either overdose or underdose. So it's important. I don't want to belittle it, right? But being a pharmacist is much bigger than that,
Okay.
right? How do we even come about medicines? How do we know that there was COVID-19? The whole world was waiting for vaccines. The whole world was waiting for vaccines because there had to be a certain process that had to be adhered to, or that people had to go through to be able to come up with the vaccine in the form that it was for you to be able to have access to it, right? And pharmacists play a very key role in that, in terms of the research that goes into discovering what will be active against the organism, in terms of the regulatory process that will govern the discovery of those medicines. So, for example, you don't just come up with a medicine and then it's available to people. The medicine has to go through a certain process we call clinical trial process. You have to test the safety, you have to check the efficacy, you have to make sure that what dose works and what doesn't work and all that. And those things are strictly regulated so that when it finally comes into human beings, it doesn't harm them and actually produces the result that it's supposed to produce. And so from the discovery of the medicine to the point where it enters your body and what it does to your body and what your body does to it before it finally comes out, all that process is what pharmacists are supposed to be responsible for. So pharmacists are experts on medicines. So the point of the counting is almost at the tail end of it.
Okay.
Although important, I don't want to
perhaps the last part of the chain.
That is when you finally get it to you, you know. But a lot of things would have happened before that time. You know, for example, if somebody brings a container of medicine to the country, and then the Food and Drugs Authority says that yes, you can make it available to people, the Food and Drugs Authority doesn't go to sleep. Periodically, they will come to the markets, take the medicines, go and test them, and make sure that the quality of the medicine at the time that you bought it in, for which they said you could make it available to Ghanaians, that quality is still maintained in the market 6 months after, a year after, 2 years after. Because at any point in time, we want to make sure that Ghanaians or people in general have the best benefit of the medicine. And that we call it post-surveillance, post-marketing surveillance. That whole work is also under the leadership, you know, of pharmacists. So pharmacists do a lot more than just counting pills. But again, I say it's also an important aspect, but it is extremely more than that.
Stephen.
Yes, I just want to add it. See, let me take you the process of that aspect that people see. We call it comes under dispensing.
Okay.
All right. As I said, before it comes there, it would have gone through a lot of process. So you have a prescription. You come to my pharmacy, you give me the prescription. All right. Surprisingly, you know, that's why they always say, patients have a prescription, they can't see what has been written.
Yes, true.
But they believe that I can see, and that what I give you is what you are supposed to take, and you believe and take it and you get to it. So when you take the dispensing process, so you bring a prescription, I receive the prescription, I validate. You see, it's a process, but because we know what we are doing, what we are about, when you come, we just look at it and the process is short.
Let me ask. Let me pause you there and ask you one question. How is it you're able to see that handwriting of doctors when they write a prescription, Because sometimes the handwriting is ineligible. I mean, you cannot read it, but you pharmacists are able to read it.
Okay, see, by law, the prescriptions are supposed to be legible.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be legible.
Yeah.
So maybe it's ineligible. I understand sometimes how they write, all right? You know, when you go to the hospital, when you're in front of a doctor, as you are talking, the doctor is writing.
Yes.
So you see the thing that the doctor writes in a day. So how can his handwriting be nice? All right. So
yeah, but then just a quick one. Just
yes,
in
quick
there.
one, yes.
But then also we also have to know that the prescription is mainly a communication between the doctor and the pharmacist. So even if he writes legibly, it is possible that you can see that the thing is legible, but you won't know what it means. But the pharmacist will
be able to identify what it is.
Exactly.
So and there's a whole training on that.
So coming back to the counting of pills. So you bring a prescription, I receive it and validates. And there are processes I go through to validate it. Validation means that the prescription, is it valid? Does it contain all the things that it needs to contain, a prescription has to contain, to satisfy me that the prescription is coming from the right sources, all right? I read, understand, and verify. Other things goes on, all right? Then from there, I take the prescription, I pick up the right medications, I label it, right? Package it, come and stand in front of you. And that is where the pill
Counting comes in.
that's what people perceive it as, counting pills. So I receive it and I go there. People don't care about what I've done, as I've told you already. All they care about is, oh, he has given it to me. So like we count pills, but we don't just count pills, right? A lot of things go into before we come to that point. And after that point, that's where for me, we get to the most important aspect of it. How do we tell the patient how to take it? For the patient to understand and take it the way we want them to take it. And then they get well, and that's our joy.
And there is something that I've observed. The degree of trust that patients do have in pharmacists. How possible is it that they bring you these papers the doctors are written on, they know nothing, absolutely nothing. And then when they come, whatever you give them is what they take home.
So that is where the trust in the profession manifests. All right. Our motto is amicus humanis generis, which means we are the friends of the human race.
Amicus
humani generis.
Generis,
yes.
okay.
Friends of the human race.
Okay.
So if I'm a friend of the human race, I'm just inclined to do good to the person. And this has been done over the years, over and over and over. And our clients, our patients know that we are there for their safety. We are there to make sure that nothing harms them. So the trust has been built over time, and we continue to do that. So continue to trust in us, and yes.
and you know, it's and thank you, Mr. Bona, for that. And it's also not, it doesn't just happen. Pharmacy and pharmacy practice is one of the most highly regulated practices in the world. So if you take the training of pharmacists, as of now, pharmacists are trained over a 6-year period and do a housemanship for another 1 year, 7 years in school, just to make sure that what I give you doesn't kill you. And there are courses in pharmacy that, I mean, there are courses, the examination of which is such that if you get one thing wrong, it's not that maybe it's 25 marks, you got one thing, so we're giving you 24. If you got one wrong, the entire thing is 0. Because it's either a life or a death. You just say you almost killed the person. No. It's like the person is dead, the person is alive. You know, so you have to be exact, you have to know it. And then also I want to also let everybody know that in pharmacy, the premises, the building in which the practice goes on is regulated. You can't just establish a pharmacy anywhere, anyhow you like. Inspectors have to come and look at it and give you authorization that this is good enough for you to proceed to have your medicines in. The medicines are regulated, the medicines themselves. The people, the pharmacists, it's not just about the education, but then also the practice, what you do is important. We can't have a pharmacy open and you the pharmacist, you are not present there to supervise the activities against the law. Your license can be taken away from you. So every aspect of the practice is under constant supervision,
and regulation.
and regulation. So that is what's part of the reasons why over the period pharmacists have delivered so much that people trust them. But then also the regulation is also part of the reasons why people trust them, because they know that if they make the mistake, there's a process to take care of it.
How is the regulatory mechanism making your work easier or otherwise?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Well, as for we understand that regulation is extremely important for our practice. We embrace it. In fact, if the regulator refuses to do his job, we will compel him to do their job. So where the regulatory environment is present and strong, I think it makes our work easier and better, right? So unlike in other situations where regulation can stifle the work, in our work, regulation is what makes it what it is. It's what makes it better. It's what makes it good. And our training enables us to accept that thinking and work with it happily. And I think that if for nothing at all, if we lose anything about pharmacy, the regulation of it cannot and should not be taken away.
Yes, I just want to add that, when you take the pharmacy profession, there are a lot of laws, but then the two most important laws are the Health Profession Regulatory Act, which regulates the practice. Regulate the practice, as I said, how do I practice as a pharmacist, all right? And then we have the Public Health Act, which regulates the product.
Okay.
So we say that it has two major laws that's regulating the practice. So for us, as a pharmacist, when I'm dispensing any medication and the product has been registered by Food and Drugs Authority, it gives me that confidence.
Yeah.
So you see how important regulation is to our profession. So once regulation is there, we know that we are sorted. And we are confident in doing the work because of the regulation that
So in a sense, the regulatory mechanism makes your work
easier.
easier.
Definitely. Yes.
That's nice. We have some professionals who don't like being regulated.
It's understand. I mean, there are sometimes you don't want regulation, but this one is important because the life and death matter.
Let's come to, I mean, within the health profession, within the medical profession, where do you stand as pharmacist?
Okay. All right. Let me tell you.
In the pecking order.
Okay. The healthcare delivery is a teamwork. All right. But I would like to know, I mean, because of public perception, public rates certain, professions within the health sector over the other. For us, the most important thing for us pharmacists is our contribution to the healthcare delivery system in the country. You see what so you ask a question time. So pharmacists, it does fit into what we do. When you go to any health facility, when it comes to medicines, everybody looks up to the pharmacist. All right, that's why I said that when you say cancer of pills, it's very interesting. You see, I would say that Carol mentioned we discovery of medicines. All right, then formulation, then manufacturing. All right, so the medicines are available there. If you're a hospital, whether community or hospital, a pharmacist, all right, there are four. You have the drug supply management system, all right. You have one aspect which deals with selection of the medicines. So we are in a hospital. What medicines are we supposed to stock as a facility to be able to? That's the first aspect. So pharmacists leads that, of course, with other health professionals. Then it comes to the procurement. How do we get these medicines into our facility? Then it comes to the distribution. What goes where? Then it comes to the use. So most of the time, the use is where a lot of people's eyes are on. But all these, and they are very extensive work that goes on, the selection, the procurement, the distribution, and then the use.
In all of these processes, you do play critical roles.
Critical role. But we are when it comes to medicine, we play the leading role.
So it means that without you at the health facility, It will be difficult for us to be dealing with, infections and diseases that people come report
And I'm
to the
sure you know
hospital
that
with.
at every stage of the health delivery system, medicines are used.
Yes.
So you see the critical role that pharmacists play in the healthcare delivery system.
How have you been playing this role over the years?
Well, I must say that we've done fairly well in terms of making the medicines available. And when you talk about, sometimes when we talk about, we talk even accessibility first. When you talk about accessibility, there are two components: availability and affordability. The medicine can be there. You can, it's available. But if you don't have money to buy, you can't access it. Or if you have money to buy, it's not available. Where is it?
You still can't access it.
So for us, the overall goal is to make sure that medicines are people are able to access the medicines. And it's a global issue that is like going on. Even take as Cobra mentioned, the pandemic. When people are talking about the price.
Yes.
It was there, but then at the initial stages,
it was difficult.
It took some time before
Yes.
we were able to, so that is accessibility. Pharmacists are concerned about the medicines being accessible. Right. So I think to a large extent, this role has been played fairly well. When you get to our facilities, at least there are medicines available for people to take to get well. Again, I want to add that somebody brought this analogy, very interesting. When you are sick, so there's a model. So you are sick, you are here. There's an intervention, and then you get well. Right? So you are sick, intervention, you get well. That intervention, a lot of things goes on there. But when you are diagnosed of the disease, the reason why you get well, 80% of the reason why you get well is about the medicines. So it's a very critical component within our healthcare delivery system.
So if you take that particular variable out of the equation,
it means that you have a 20% chance of survival. It's eating well, sleeping, or whatever it is.
Yes. because I mean, if you are diagnosed that you have X disease, but you don't have anything to use to treat it, the patient didn't come just to hear that I have this condition. That's not the concern of the patient. The patient is concerned about what do I have to do to be able to get well. Although without the diagnosis, you also know what medicine that you need to do. You need to to provide, and also so the medicine is extremely key. But you asked a question about the team. He was talking about the team. I wanted to share an experience when I was a young pharmacist. I had come out of school and I was doing my internship with one of the hospitals. And we go on ward rounds on a Tuesday, the first time. So we are going on ward round with the senior pharmacists. We are about 4 other young pharmacists. We go and join the other people. And we are a team of about 12 to 15 people: doctors, nurses, psychologists, nutritionists, pharmacists. And they'll go from patient to patient. And when we come and we surround your bed, the patient is lying. He can't even associate. He doesn't know whether we are talking about him or we are talking about something else. So the house officer starts, this patient came in with this, with that, this is what we have done, this is what we have done with them. The pharmacist will say, okay, well, because he has this other condition, this drug that you gave, because the pharmacist is the expert on the medicine, so because of this condition that he has, this drug ordinarily would have been good. But because of this condition, you can't give this drug, so give this one instead. The nutritionist will come and say, well, the way I'm looking at him, I think we need to pump up, increase this, or provide some counseling about this or that. So indeed, as we're saying, healthcare delivery is not a one-man show, to be honest. To be able to have the most effective healthcare, it's teamwork, and everybody has their part that they play and lead, and they play that part extremely well. And I think that, to be honest, and without comparing to any other profession, I think that pharmacists in Ghana have really pushed the frontiers of pharmaceutical care in our country over the years that we have been in existence, in every aspect of it. If you look at industrialization in our country, the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry is one of the most well organized and advanced in our country, and most of it has been led by pharmacists. So I just wanted to chip in that in addition to what he's saying.
Okay. On that note, let's go for a quick break. When we return, I think there are a lot more questions. I've seen people sending me private messages asking me to ask the pharmacist what medicinal value is in willy. I'm not going to ask that question, but when we return from the break, there is more for us to talk about on Men's Lounge. Do stay with that. Many thanks for staying with us. This is Men's Lounge live on ETV Ghana. I am Sifat Dankwa. It's been an interesting conversation so far, and I believe that you've learned one or two, three, four, five things from the conversation that we've had with our guest in the studio tonight. Kwabena Sante Ofa is the Vice President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, and Stephen Bona is the Greater Accra Regional Chair of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. Gentlemen, I think we are in the last lap of our conversation, and this lap is basically focusing on World Pharmacist Day. And I understand that on 21st of September, that was about 4 or 5 days ago, you launched the World Pharmacist Day, which was yesterday. Did you organize any event yesterday?
Yes, but
In the regions?
Yes, but Accra, that's why we are starting ours. So today is where this program is what we are using.
So this is where we are starting the activity.
Exactly.
Okay,
so
we are privileged to have you. we are privileged.
Exactly.
I mean, why World Pharmacist Day?
Well, I mean, there's the International Federation of Pharmacists, which is pharmacy associations around the world, and it was declared in one of the meetings a number of years ago that on the 25th of September, we should all around the world celebrate pharmacists for their contribution. First of all, to recognize the role that pharmacists play, and then to use the opportunity to draw attention to various healthcare related issues that pharmacists are typically involved in. And so every year on the 25th of September, we celebrate World Pharmacist Day.
Okay.
Here in Ghana, we launch the World Pharmacist Day in advance of the day that it falls on. So we took advantage of the 21st of September, which was a holiday for us. And maybe Mr. Bona will talk about it later on. We are focusing in Ghana on the theme for World Pharmacist Day for this year is Pharmacists United in Action for a Healthier World. And here we are looking at the roles, the various varied roles that pharmacists are playing within the healthcare sector to advance healthcare in general. And we in Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana have decided to focus for the next 12 months on obesity. So I'm sure Mr. Bernard will talk about this in a bit of detail. So for our launch, we decided, normally our launch is a formal event in some place, we deliver speeches and all, but for this year, we decided to do the launch with a walk. So on the 21st, we had a walk through the principal streets of Accra, and then we distributed and shared information on obesity. We came back and then launched the World Pharmacist Day itself. And one of the things that we are doing this year that I want to highlight is that because we are focusing on obesity, from yesterday, all community pharmacies across the country for the next 1 month to 3 months are going to offer BMI services to clients that come in. So
all community pharmacies.
All community pharmacies. We have encouraged all community pharmacies to do that, and they're excited about doing that. So when you go into your pharmacy to see your pharmacist, your pharmacist will bring it up. If he doesn't bring it up to him that, can you help me?
The pharmacy that you're talking about, is it the one that I know?
There's
you know, there is a chemical store, drugstore.
Oh, right.
And a pharmacy.
Yeah, I'm talking about pharmacies.
Okay.
So chemical license can be license over the counter medicines.
Medicines, yes.
Those are not pharmacies.
Okay.
Those are only allowed to make available Class C medicine, over the counter medicines. But pharmacies are the ones that have pharmacists in them.
Okay.
That can make available any medicine at all.
Okay.
Because of the expertise that pharmacists have. So they would help you calculate your BMI, which is the index that is used to calculate your body weight, to see whether it is it is healthy for your size and height or not. And whatever the outcome is, pharmacists have been given the training to be able to provide counseling to you on some steps that you can take to be able to either maintain your weight or manage it or do something about it if you need to. And we are hoping that the public will take advantage of this, that we are making available to everybody. So when you walk into your pharmacy, please ask them politely that can they help you to calculate your body mass index.
But you mentioned obesity.
Yeah.
Why the focus on obesity? And I think Stephen will answer that question for us.
Yes, so obesity, because we've realized that now our part of the way we are burdened with these, we used to have mostly infectious diseases, because of the bacterial disease, fungal.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, because of urbanization and lifestyle changes, we realize we're also having the non-communicable diseases, which you're talking about hypertension, diabetes, asthma, for those ones are. So, and studies have shown that the obesity has an impact. That when you are overweight or obese, it negatively impacts on your body, and that's what leads to you becoming prone to some of these non-communicable diseases that I'm talking about.
So the starting point of some or most of the non-communicable diseases is you being obese.
It plays a role, not entirely. There are other things which are hereditary, like
that may predispose
people. But obesity is known to aggravate some of these things that bring about these non-communicable diseases.
Okay.
That's why we are focusing on that.
Yeah.
So when people are aware and we eat healthy to have the normal, as I said, the normal weight for our body size, it helps to, because when you're obese, it puts pressure on the various organs of the body. So they overwork, and that's what leads to some of these things. Okay. So as I was discussing before, how do you calculate that? Everybody, when you get to a certain age, you don't grow tall again.
Yes.
So the height becomes fixed, right?
Scientists are still
still
grappling with the age at which you don't grow again.
Exactly, but we know that at a point you don't grow
from
again.
22 to 27.
You don't grow tall again. Okay. So when you have a certain height, you should have a certain weight that goes with that height.
Okay.
And if that weight is the normal weight, you fall within the ideal weight category.
Okay.
Right? It's not everybody, but you get a little. So some people are actually underweight. Yes. Some people are actually underweight. There are numbers that have been calculated that to do that. I think 18.5 and below, when you calculate and get that, you are underweight. Between 18.5 to 24.9, that's the ideal. So if you calculate and your BMI falls within that,
18.5
to 24.9.
to 24.9.
Yes, then you are
point
within
to 25.
Exactly. So 25 to 25 to about 29.9.
Please, viewers, you should be calculating your BMI right now.
So I give them the formula right now.
Yes.
So up to 29.9, that is overweight. Above that, I think some Americans will call it obese and super obese. But then for us, after the 29.9, we are deemed to be
categorize you as
exactly.
obese.
So, the weight is something I can do something about. The height, you can't do anything about it. That is why we are educating people to watch what they eat, exercise a bit, so that they can come within a weight that will not put too much pressure on their organs because they are overweight or obese. So, how do you calculate it? You easily calculate it by, of course, when you go to the pharmacy, it will do it for you. But it's actually a function of your weight over your height. So the formula is the weight in kilogram over your height in meters squared. Yes. So when you do that, I can do that for you.
Viewers, write it down. Peter is Peter. Your weight is 76, yes,
Yeah.
and your height is 1 point. 1.65
65.
meters.
Yes. So you with 1.65 times 1.65, what you get, you divide your weight by that answer you get.
Okay.
So that's the squared.
Peter, calculate.
Uh-huh.
And let's see whether you fall within the ideal weight
Yeah.
or you're obese, so
And
that
yes.
we will start a program for you. Because by the time that we are done with this education, you're not going to be obese any longer.
And you asked the question why obesity. Just to add on.
Yes,
Yes.
add on
quickly.
to it, yes.
You know, during the COVID period, most people were working from home. You know, and
it's true.
we weren't going to church, we weren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
The mosque, and so
We were sedented.
thank you very much. And so there's a natural increasing obesity that is going on, you know, right now, and we need to do something about it.
Sure.
So it's also, the time is also ideal, you know, because of what we've been through in the past 2 or so years.
What specifically will you be doing
Okay, so
to deal with this issue of obesity in the country within this 1 year that you've set aside to deal with the matter?
So before I answer that, there are some review statistics, what obesity, its impact on mortality, and I think that one has been done for Ghana. But worldwide, you know that about 2.8 million deaths is associated with obesity, yes. And in Ghana, some pharmacists have done some work. I've forgotten the name, but pharmacists and a team have done some work which is saying that about around 43% of Ghanaians are overweight.
Hold on. 43% of 31
Yes.
million.
Yes, either overweight or obese. And
Including the children.
yes, you see, the children, because of the psychological impacts, even though it's also a problem. I remember some research came out some time ago that the children are becoming like obese because of what they eat, they don't exercise, about computer games and all that. But you know, when you are doing education in children, you have to be careful.
Okay.
Because some of them, once they are, that becomes stigmatization.
Yeah, it's true.
So we are targeting the adults.
Okay.
So that they themselves will also.
So 43% of the adult population
Yes,
in Ghana are obese. Please check your weight.
Overweight and obese. Yes.
Please.
So yes, that's what we are. It's more of education on that. So we are asking. That's why we are asking the community pharmacists to check proposed beer so that the awareness is created that hey, this exists. We've come out with flyers that talks about the risk factors, what causes it, what you can do to reduce the impact and other things. So that is what we are going to engage in for the next 1 year. So hoping that by the time you finish, the awareness is created and people will be more concerned about what they eat and they need to have a certain ideal weight that goes with their, you know, our part of some places, you know, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
when we come,
we come plump.
Yes, it's nice, but you have to
Also check it.
make sure that it's within what is acceptable. Yes.
Yeah, and then too there'll be social media campaigns, there'll be media campaigns as well. And you know, there's what we call the health days. So there's World Hypertension Day, World Diabetes Day, World this day, that day. And each of those days, as we go along the year, we will find an opportunity within it to draw
talk about
attention
obesity.
to obesity. Because most of them, like you were saying, most of these conditions, obesity is always hiding in there, playing a role in it. So we want to take advantage of those days as well to draw attention to obesity. So for the next 12 months, if you speak to any pharmacy, ask him, Mr. Bona, how are you doing? Charlie, we have to check our obesity. So obesity is going to be across the country, everywhere, visibly for everybody to see.
Sure, obesity is going to be across the country, and obviously, when you go to your pharmacist, make sure that you ask that question. And I believe that the formula that has been put out by Mr. Stephen Bona, you wrote it down. When we return from our final break, Mr. Bona will repeat that again, and then you'll be able to jot it down. When you go to your pharmacist, make sure your pharmacist helps you to calculate your body mass index and find out whether you're obese or not. If you're obese, you know the steps to take. Return from this break. It's been an interesting conversation so far. A lot of people are checking their BMI, body mass index, right now. Some of them are finding out that they are a bit overweight and they need to start exercising or checking their lifestyle. Peter, 26. You need to start checking what you eat. Gentlemen, we have about 5 minutes to wrap up. Let me give Kweku some 1 minute, and then I'll give the remainder of the time
Yeah.
to Bona for him to run us through the activities that the Greater Accra chapter is going to embark on for the World Pharmacists Day celebration.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so very much for the conversation. Two things I want to emphasize. Number one, maybe three. Number one is that no matter your BMI result, I'd like to encourage everybody to make walking, at least walking, a lifestyle. You can do it in the morning before you go to work, or you can do it after you close on work and come in the evening. It should be part of us. If you can jog, that is fine, but make it a part of your life to have that kind of exercise regularly, however it fits, and then you progress from there. The second thing I wanted to also highlight is what I talked about community pharmacies. So when you walk into your community pharmacy, talk to your pharmacist, tell him that you want him to help you calculate your BMI, and then based on the results, ask him to provide you the appropriate counseling that should go with it. And I said that some are going to do it for a month, some are going to do it for 3 months. But anyway, whatever it is, you just ask for that support.
Okay.
And then the last thing I want to say is that it is extremely crucial that your pharmacist in your community knows you.
Okay.
Make your community pharmacist your friend, your healthcare partner.
What about in communities where they do not have pharmacists? What do they do?
Okay, so that's a very good question. I mean, pharmacists, one of the challenges that we have is that pharmacists are not yet present in every community that we wish we could be in. But considering the fact that the production of pharmacists is going up, hopefully it should be measured also, we'll have a lot more pharmacists and therefore a lot of pharmacies in almost every community that there should be. So very soon that will be addressed.
Okay, all right. Final bite of the cherry to Mr. Stephen Bona.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I run through my program, I'd like to give a shout out to my executives. They have been supportive. I mean, Charles, Steve, Audrey, Nakwale, Ruby, thank you for the support so far. Yes, so as I said, it's a month-long something.
Okay.
So we are starting with this one. So on Friday and Sunday, we've come out with something called Occupy Your Church or Mosque.
Okay.
So we are asking pharmacists, wherever they are, to engage their churches or mosque or any social gathering that they get opportunity to talk to people about some of these things, carry out the message from there. And then on the 9th of October, we are carrying out education program and actually BMI at St. John the Evangelist Catholic Church at Adenta.
That's 9th of October?
9th of October, yes.
2022.
And then for us, every year when we celebrate World Pharmacist Day, we have something called Pharmacists Giving Back to Society.
Okay.
So we crown it with a visit to a selected orphanage where you go and interact with the inmates and also have a small donation for them. So these are activities lined up for the year. And again, as I will also emphasize, Greater Accra, we also continue with the pharmacists checking BMIs for everybody that walks into the pharmacy within the Greater Accra region, so that we will help with the national
I hope you're going to come to ETV to come and help us check the BMIs.
Yeah, why not? Yes.
All of the employees.
Yes.
Over here, ETV and Happy FM.
Definitely. I'm actually, for Saturday, my group that I play soccer with, Union. I'm coming there on Saturday. Everybody will check your BMIs and your BP, so get ready.
On that note, I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, for making it into the studio for this wonderful discussion on Pharmacist Day, and letting my cameraman know his body mass index. Now he can do something about it. Kwabena Asante is the Vice President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, and also Stephen Bona is the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. Thank you, gentlemen, for making it into the studio tonight.
Thank you.
And my name is Sifa Dankwa. I sat in tonight for Nanaya Odame. This has been Men's Lounge. Next week, we'll come your way with another insightful edition. Good night.